I didn't turn the mic on.
I almost sent you that thing last night. It turned out it was like 11:30.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, she's not going to appreciate that.
I put my phone on silent at night, so.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joe Brown is on vacation.
This is a little different than most. It's been said that the opposite of progress is Congress. Once again, Congress has waited until the last day to agree on an annual budget. If members of Congress were high school students, they would be earning a failing grade. Our nation is divided, but we have been divided before. We've had a Revolutionary War that we overthrew the English government. We had a Civil War, which our nation was divided between the North and the South. And in 1968, every major city in America had race riots. In 1968, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, a candidate for president, he quoted George Bernard Shaw in stating, "Some men see things the way they are and ask why. I dream things that never were and say, why not?" We have so much we agree on in our country. We all want safe roads and bridges. We all want to breathe clean air. We all want to drink safe water. We all want quality schools. We all want accessible and affordable health care. And we all want to attend the church of our choice and be safe from gunfire. Let us keep members of Congress in our thoughts and prayers today, that they acknowledge the overwhelming agreement among our citizens on all the major issues facing our country. For I dream things that never were and ask, why not?
Thank you for that, Joey. Let's do the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, thank you. I hope, welcome to Rotary. I hope everybody's having a great Monday. I was almost late today because I was signing for a mortgage. So it's been a pretty big day. And 10 years ago today, I put everything I could into my orange Prius C and drove to Indianapolis to move there where I knew no one. And that was the best decision I ever made in my life. So that's been a pretty, I can't believe that was 10 years ago already. The other thing I'll say is last night we honored the Clinton Walk of Fame class, or Clinton County Walk of Fame class for 2025. It was an awesome night. And it was just, we had a lot of great, like there was no bad speeches among the night. There are 7 inductees. And so there's just, I feel like there's great things happening in the county now, but it is so awesome to see the people that have impacted our county over time and learn about the people that we don't know that have impacted our county over time. So as we keep going to the future with this, I recommend everybody attend that because it was just such a great night. It's hard to put that into words. With that, I'm going to call up Christy to talk about the Boo Bash.
You might not clap when you find out what I have to say. So Heather Vollen told me that I would be the one talking to you today. It a little differently than she would. So we have one fundraiser a year to do all of our service projects. And yes, we're a networking organization, but we are also a service organization, which means that as Rotarians, we do have the expectation that in some way you help with our fundraiser. It does not need to break the bank. It can be a silent auction item. It can be helping us contact these other businesses, sponsorships, whatever it is. But we do have an expectation that everybody do something. So that being said, we are a little bit behind at this point in the year for specifically our silent auction items. We actually have had some pretty good success this year with our live auction items. We've had some people that have returned to donating, and we're really grateful for that. So this is a list that has several years of past data, and there's a lot of repeat businesses on here. We're going to pass this around and ask you to write your name next to some of these places that you may be willing to contact and ask if they would donate items to our auction. So, any questions for me? Does everybody know what we're fundraising for this year? Tell us. So, of course, all of our annual projects, right? So our scholarship fund, because we do need additional funds based above and beyond what we collect from the fines weekly. We do the snow boots every year. We do the dictionaries and the water safety every year. I believe we're still partnering with the Diamonds and the Seattle Club on the Oaxaca, Mexico greenhouse project. But then this year, our large project, our presidential project, will be a new ADA compliant pavilion and playground at the Jurgensen Soccer Complex. So, and Paul has auction item sheets for you to fill out as well.
Please take some along so that when you ask someone to donate, please ask them to fill out a form. There are extras on the table. There's some for you and for people that you contact, and thank you for doing that.
So I'll stress that we're not actually building the playground part of it, but because we're doing the shelter, they're able to do a better ADA compliant playground, since we're able to take the shelter off of that budget item. But I'm really excited about it. With that, Andy Ferguson has a fellowship.
Thanks, everybody. We have some guests today, and we have some birthdays. Let's see. Nobody's birthday was this last week, so we're not doing them again. Karen Vickers, 29 years anniversary with Rotary. Marcia Thrall, 3 years, and James Brune, 29 years. So we appreciate them being members for so long. Yeah. Okay, let's introduce our guests. So Jennifer, you brought a guest with you this week. Oh, sorry.
Please welcome my husband, Charlie, my current husband. 45 years.
Shannon, would you like to introduce your guest?
So we have 3 of our YWCA staff here today that are going to help with the program. This is Michelle Plasher. She's our Empowerment Center Director. This is Sarah Hallstrom, who's our Development Coordinator, and Jen Bruce, who is our Marketing Coordinator. So please welcome
them. And then Jenny Holm.
That's me.
Yeah. Tell us who you are and how glad you are to be here.
I'm Jenny Holm. I'm a Clinton native. I'm from Brooklyn. And you know, Brooklyn is a merger between the Clinton Area Chamber of Commerce and Clinton Regional Development Corporation. I'm the Director of Membership and Community Affairs. And I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you for coming. Mary Swanson, would you like to introduce your guest?
This is Eda Lorenz, a familiar base in Rotary, since she took care of us as secretary for how many years? 10 years. 10 years she did it.
Well, it's a pleasure to see so many familiar faces and also new faces. I'm delighted to have a chance to be here, and I have to say it's a little nostalgic. I enjoyed being a Rotarian. I had to end my membership when my husband became very ill. So my husband was a Rotarian as well. So thank you for having me here.
We're glad to meet you. All right, and we have a couple of students from Prince of Peace. You're gonna. Okay.
We have Kyla Bellish and Valentina Del Rio Molina Del Rio.
Right. So for our fellowship trivia today, we'll do like we've done in the last couple times that I've done it. I've got easy, medium, and hard questions. The hard questions are the cheap ones because you won't get them right. And then there's medium questions. So hard question costs you $2 if you get it right. Medium question $3. An easy question costs you $4. You can always ask for a hard one and then get a different question if it's too hard. Okay, so Shannon, we'll start with your table. Who do you want, hard, medium, or easy?
Medium.
Medium. Oh, I should tell you that this, the reference is Saturday was World Tourism Day. The United Nations has adopted 9/27 as World Tourism Day. So our trivia covers the entire world. So, so that's a big category. Still want medium?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the largest desert in the world? Mojave is incorrect. The largest desert in the world is the Antarctic desert.
Oh.
See, that's why it was hard. Okay. Carry your table. What do you want?
We take medium also.
We also take medium. Let's find a good one for you. What is the smallest country in the world after the Vatican City? It is not. It is Morocco. I'm sorry, Monaco. Okay. Andy Green, chance to redeem yourself. Hard. Here we go. Let's see. Let me give him a real hard one. No, those were medium. Okay. I'll change this. The question is which city, but I'm going to change it to which country because which city is just impossible. Which country is famous for its ancient Incan ruins, including Machu Picchu?
Peru.
Peru is correct. Good job. What city?
It's
Yeah, we're not impressed anymore. All right, good job. This is Jeopardy. Your time's running.
What is it?
Cusco. Cusco, Peru. All right, Wes, your table. What do you want?
Medium.
Medium. Everybody's scared. I got everybody all nervous. What's the highest mountain peak in Africa? Hey, everybody, don't scream out answers if you know it. This is a game. Have you ever watched Jeopardy? They don't scream out the answers. We're trying to raise money for the kids, right?
We're gonna go with Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro is correct. Good job. All right. Joe, your table. What do you want? Hard, good, because I'm running out of mediums. What is the southernmost capital city in the world? I like it when everybody mumbles quietly. Melbourne is incorrect, but you were very close. It's Wellington, New Zealand, which is south of Melbourne. Okay. Dennis, your table, what do you want?
Most of us said medium, but we're gonna go with hard.
All right, so similar question, what's the northernmost capital city in the world? Reykjavik, Iceland is correct. Good job. I just said Reykjavik, but okay. Not Wes. I already did Wes' table. Brent and Christy, what do you guys want to do?
We're both eating.
Okay, not my problem. I couldn't hear you. I tickled Andy. I couldn't hear you. We gotta wait till he stops. Got it. Okay. Hard question. Which European city is divided into two parts by the Bosphorus Strait?
Okay, we're gonna exchange.
Okay. Istanbul is correct. All right. Braden, what do you want to do? Hard. Look, I got another. Okay. Which European city is divided into 14 islands connected by more than 50 bridges? No, Stockholm, Sweden. Okay, thank you for playing. Give generously to our scholarship fund so we can get this education to the kids. Right? Thanks.
Oh, hey. So we are going to have a little bit of a special presentation here. I'm going to call up Carrie and Brenda Diamond, and then we have Susan Sola on our Zoom update on Oaxaca, Mexico.
Thank you. And Susan, we might need your help because Susan Sola is gonna speak if she's able to online. Okay. Does she just need to unmute or? Okay.
And then we can.
Can't unmute people. There's Susan. Hi.
But can I make her bigger?
You can't. Oh, spotlight. Spotlight.
Whoop. Do you guys see a thing that says spotlight?
And maybe. No. I think you clicked on the wrong thing. And while they're figuring that out, we just are only gonna take just a few minutes of time, and Amy was kind enough to start a little early today, so we could just make a short club update, and Brenda's gonna speak, and Susan, what I wanted to share is that we had a full program on this in March, so we can resend that link, because Susan facilitated a full program update, but we just wanted to share a few announcements today.
Yes, hello everyone. I think it was about maybe 2019 we started this Oaxacan project, trying to coordinate with your club, and it worked. And so we met at a coffee shop, Carrie, and I think it was Jill maybe?
And Christy.
Christy. And we met like at 7 o'clock in the morning, and at the other line at 5 a.m. in Seattle, Washington was Susan Sola. And she has since then become the global chair of the global project now. So this is quite an event for all of us. And we really appreciate your wonderful contributions, donations you've given to the Oaxacan people. And this is the poorest of the poorest in Oaxaca. And here she is. So this is Susan Sola, and she's going to take away here right now and share with you what's happening and what's going on, so you have an update. Okay, thank you, Susan. Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much, Brenda. I am in bed because I have a broken back. So I won't hopefully be this way the next time we meet. Brenda is the key to our link between Clinton Rotary and the University District Rotary in Seattle. And together we have worked on this project. Well, we started on our own and then you all came in the middle, but about 10 years. We started very small, working with a Rotary Club in Mexico. And we went all the way through COVID, working with these small subsistence farmers in the very poor state of Oaxaca in southern Mexico, where one of the Rotarians from the club that we're working with was born and lived for many years. So it has been really an adventure and a real I don't know, a real Rotary experience to see how this project has grown from one greenhouse to over 150 greenhouses, and now we're focusing on cisterns to save the water, uh, so that in the dry season, these farmers have enough to water their greenhouses and produce enough food for their family all year round, along with helping them to transfer from corn and beans, their traditional crops, to nopal cactus, which is really delicious if you've tried it. You can cook it many ways, but it can grow in very dry climates, which is what is happening now in Oaxaca. Climate change is affecting the lives of all of these people and their families. So we have seen so many wonderful stories, stories of families that have been able to stay together, the father not having to leave the farm and go look for work somewhere else. So it's a project that I think really deserves to be highlighted because of the link, because of the friendships we have made over the years with the Oaxaca farmers and the Mexican Rotarians. And I just think it epitomizes the best of the international projects. Now it has come to the point that the Mexican Rotarians have proposed a global grant, which is very complicated. And if you've done one, you know how hard it is to get it all together, to get the Rotary Foundation to approve it. And so this is a real red letter year for the project. It'll be a project of almost $60,000, and your contribution and ours and the Mexican Rotarians will, be matched by districts and then matched by the Rotary Foundation to reach that sum. So we're right at the point where the Rotary Foundation is reviewing the application, asking some questions, and then we will make our contribution along with your contribution, which we have received. So we'll combine the two for one wire transfer to make the contributions complete. So thank you very much for contributing to this project, and we'll try to keep you informed. I have sent some photographs to Carrie from on the ground, pictures of all of the farm families digging their own cisterns and making, contributing the labor, and then the fields and the greenhouses benefiting from the water. Right now it's raining very hard in Mexico, so those cisterns are filling up. And in the dry season, in the winter, in the dry season, they will use that water to keep their crops growing. So thank you again very much.
Thank you, Susan, and I'll just add a couple comments, and perhaps Brenda wants to as well, but first of all, this I think is what Rotary is all about. This is what it is, clubs coming together. There's a direct positive impact to the people in Oaxaca. There's adaptability. They have gone from the greenhouses and critters to now cisterns, so they are building on their success. The people of Oaxaca have skin in the game. They're helping to build the greenhouses and cisterns, and as Susan said, there's a family impact. It's also what Rotary is about because we made this connection. So if the Diamonds hadn't come back to Clinton, we wouldn't have known about the Seattle project and been able to get involved. So also kudos to Christy, who really helped spearhead this for our club. Secondly, I just want to say this is the project that inspired my food security project last year. I thought if we can help people in Mexico and collaborate in that way, we need to also be doing that locally. So this is something that helped me at least turn and pivot our focus to some local food security initiatives. So we've got to just keep building on it. Brenda, did you want to add anything?
Just want to say, our Rotary theme is together we see a world. People unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. And isn't it wonderful that we can say we are Rotarians working together? And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for contributing to the Oaxaca project. Yes.
Would you send me a very brief summary of that and the contact sources? I travel in clubs, I promote local grants, and a number of clubs want to participate, but they don't want an issue. And so if you could send me a very brief summary as we visit the rest of the club, put the name out there for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll turn it back over. I will also share the cistern, the updated photos that Susan sent, so they'll be in our next newsletter. I'll send those to Jill. Thanks, Andy.
And he snuck in while we were praying, I think, but our governor, Norland Hickey, is visiting us today. So not every club gets to have the governor hanging out with them for the day. With that, I'm going to call Jennifer Graff up to introduce our program.
Thank you, Andy. I'm delighted to have our own past president, Shannon Sander-Welzien, give us an update on 399, bringing up our Women of Achievement, both important projects for our local area. Thank you.
The best way to adjust that arrow, like on my ears. Okay. So.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us back to give an update about supportive housing. We're going to do a little overview. Some of you might be experts on this presentation to some degree, but I think it's important to give context. So Michelle, nuts and bolts, and then Michelle is going to kind of share some more highlighted details of that. So our YWCA Empowerment Center, we just actually started a new logo. So that upper left-hand corner is our new logo, showing different forms of housing and then ultimately the door to opportunities. So we're excited to unveil that, and we'll be having it on our building 2025. Just providing housing support, financial assistance management to people experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness in our community. Basically, it's like stop speaking, Lee. So I'll keep talking, but so basically Community Solutions of Eastern Iowa and the YWCA work together to serve the Eastern Iowa region. So we serve Clinton and Jackson County, and then they serve Dubuque and Delaware counties to serve our Eastern Iowa region. So we do services that we provide are coordinated entry. So basically, if anyone is at risk of homelessness or currently experiencing literal homelessness, they call our housing helpline that our local intake coordinator answers. She goes through a series of questions and people get into a system. It's a statewide system called HMIS, Homeless Management Information System. They're entered in that system to be then later possibly pulled for services. So that is part of our serving regions well, is having that coordinated entry system to make sure that there's no duplication of benefits. We also do diversion. So when that call comes in, the first thing that the person, our caller or intake coordinator wants to do is see if this person has resources that they might be able to sleep on someone's couch or move in with a relative. If they have other opportunities, we're going to try to help them problem solve to not have them go on to face homelessness. We have homelessness prevention funds, and so that is people that are at risk of losing their housing within 14 days. So they have an eviction notice, and they're able to call us and get connected so that we can help them with back rent and back utilities. I will tell you, since the last time we spoke, there is like a great deal less of homelessness prevention money in our community. For the last 2.5, 3 years, there was a lot of homeless prevention money in the state. So we were able to help a lot of people. And now that funding is basically our funding for a year is the same as the funding we could use in 1 month. And that is super concerning to me, because the best thing to do is to keep people in their housing so that they don't become homeless, because it's a bigger problem. Then they lost all their possessions. They might not have, their bedding, their clothing, all the things that when they lost their home that they couldn't take with them. So I am concerned we're going to have growing homelessness in our community, because that homeless prevention money has shrunk up. So another service we provide is rapid rehousing. That's basically getting people experiencing literal homelessness into their own home as quickly as possible. So rapidly rehoused, and then we can go on to help them for up to 12 months. And so our case managers work with them on their barriers to housing. They are identified as having less barriers, so they just need kind of a shorter term intervention. And then hopefully we're able to get them onto a positive path forward with permanent housing. Then we have permanent supportive housing, which is for people that are experiencing chronic homelessness. So they have a longer time that they've experienced homelessness, or they've had repeated homelessness. And this is it's similar to rapid rehousing. We get people into their own homes as quickly as possible, but then we can go on to help them for a longer term. So in the average year, it's based on client need, but the average we hear is 3 years. So case management is the big component of change, kind of having that relationship with someone who can really find out that particular person's needs, their strengths, and then work with them on that, connecting them to if they need mental health support or substance misuse support, if they need connection to employment, if they need to build a positive work experience. That's what those case managers go on to help folks with, so that, again, we can get them permanently housed and on a positive path forward. Then we have street outreach, which is basically our case managers going out potentially into the streets or over at the county resource center to, like, if you see someone and you think that they're experiencing homelessness, our case managers can go out and basically a lot of people are averse to services, but we try to build up a relationship so eventually that they're feeling that, this person helped me out with getting me a water or some food, or they gave me one of our dignity bags, and now I'm going to kind of listen to what they have to say, and that we can kind of get them at that point coordinated with services. So but I will tell you, there are people, especially when the weather's nicer, that just they are choosing to live out in the community. They are choosing to experience homelessness, and they are adverse to being helped. So and then we have emergency shelter, which we do not have a bricks and mortar shelter. We house people in non-congregate settings, which are area hotels. This was something that came out of the pandemic, and it's worked really well for us as an agency, because as you can imagine, if these two tables here found themselves experiencing homelessness, and now all of a sudden they're sleeping over in the side room together, that is not a good, safe experience for those folks necessarily to be all housed together. So we are trying to, and it can be, I don't mean to say that, it just is another kind of barrier. So we place people in hotels where that family unit can stay together in their own space, or that individual can stay in their own space and have their own room, and it provides that extra level of dignity for those folks. So we operate under the Housing First model, which it is backwards to what you would think might be how you do things. Housing First basically says, let's house the people first, and then go on to work on the things that they need to work on to not have barriers to housing. So I know a lot of people say, oh, they should get a job, and they should stop drinking alcohol, and then they can have housing. But the fact of the matter is that evidence shows that people are more successful when they are first housed and feel safe and stable, and then they go on to work on those things that contributed to their homelessness. So we basically, again, it's a platform which clients seek out their personal goals, and we work with them on employment, their mental health issue if they have that, making connections back with their family. Sometimes folks have lost their children, and reunification with their children, creating a budget, finding employment, all of those things. So the local needs that I feel like I should have had a quiz on this, because I feel like all of you should be experts if you've heard me speak, but 1 in 3 people in Clinton County are basically experiencing poverty or just above. They're living paycheck to paycheck. So 38% of people in Clinton County are either ALICE, which is a United Way acronym, asset limited, income constrained, and employed. They are living paycheck to paycheck, and if their car breaks down or if they have a major illness, their world's gonna spiral into a crisis. And then 12% in poverty. So we just want to say, you know, people have a picture of homelessness in their head, and in all reality, it's you know, it's people that are waiting on you at Hy-Vee or at your restaurant that you like to go to for lunch. That most of them are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're one major crisis away from having their housing risked. So at the YWCA, we receive 2,000 to 4,000 calls. So 4,000 was kind of our high, and 2,000 is kind of the average locally, Clinton and Jackson County, that we're answering on a yearly basis. At any given time during the year, there's 100 to 250 applications waiting for services. So when we answer the call, we get them in the system that I talked about, 100 to 250 of those applications sitting on our intake list. And hopefully we can connect them to services, but there are not that many resources to immediately house all of those folks. Probably a year and a half ago, homelessness was identified as the #4 top health concern, because housing is a social determinant of health. You can imagine if you are experiencing homelessness or at risk of it, it's harder to attend to your health needs when you're worried about your safety. Last year, over 150 children in the Clinton Community School District were identified as experiencing homelessness, and those are the folks that identified themselves, which if you can imagine me, you know, in high school or middle school and having to identify as homelessness, I'm guessing that number is a little bit higher. So, and then we have this perception that because we're talking about supportive housing today, that if we have great services, people are going to come to town and use those services. When the fact of the matter is all those numbers are already there. And whenever we have to pull the numbers periodically, but whenever we have pulled those numbers, over 90% of the people on the list identified their last address is within the city of Clinton. So the problem is already here, and we're just working to help address it. So affordable housing is the solution. So this is just a housing continuum that kind of shows people experiencing homelessness or at risk, and then affordable rentals. And it just shows in the 0 to 30%, what did we decide that was, Michelle? MFI, what was that? Medium family income. It's 0, they're making 0 to 26,000, just over $26,000. So, and then obviously it kind of goes up from there, but you can see kind of where you are in the spectrum and where the folks we are serving, where they're at on the spectrum. And then this is the big thing that we all need to work on together as a community, is that 0 to 30%, here it's AMI, so that's average medium income. Those people, we have a negative 1,600 spots available for them. So this is the problem. When people in that price range can't find housing, and we need 1,600 more spots for them to be housed, what is the alternative? When people are working at Farm and Fleet or with Wendy's or, you know, whatever local restaurant, they want to be close to where they're employed, and they need to be able to afford their housing that is close by too. So it's a nationwide kind of equation to figure out, but we're going to need to figure it out as a nation, because when people can't afford their housing, that's why we have the major problems that we have. So our project experienced NIMBYism, which is not in my backyard. We had a lot of public meetings where people were opposed to not opposed to the project, but just didn't want it in their neighborhood, which is somewhat understandable because people are fearful and fear of the unknown and all of that. But NIMBYism kills 1 in 3 affordable housing projects, because people agree we need affordable housing, but I just don't want it by me because it might make my home value go down. Again, fear, totally understandable, but if we're thinking of things from a community standpoint, we need much more affordable housing for people to be able to thrive here. Yeah, I already mentioned that. 1 in 3 projects in the state of Iowa are squashed because of NIMBYism. So this is just kind of a summary. What we know is real people are hurt by this, and that affordable housing is the solution, and that our state of Iowa grows when we embrace diversity of housing and having housing at all those levels. So our supportive housing facility, which we'll start calling 399 housing, because that's what the building will be called, is for people experiencing chronic homelessness. And I know that word has been scary for people, but we do have a great deal of people that are experiencing chronic homelessness. And as a community, a solution is for the YWCA to work with those folks so that they're not experiencing chronic homelessness anymore, so that they are connected to employment and that they start being able to afford their own housing out in the community. So the cost of doing nothing. This is a case study. Shelter House in Iowa City has, I think they have 3 projects now, but they did a study where the top 4 high utilizers, so people that were, the police knew and the hospitals knew, and mental health providers, or detox, those 4 top utilizers of their community were costing the city $2.1 million over 4 years. So on average, I don't like the word high utilizer, it's kind of a bad word, but it, in my world, but on average, a high utilizer of systems costs communities $140,000. Whereas if we can house them for, depending on the level of case management they need, $10,000 to $15,000. So it's a lot, I know there's been a lot of talk about taxpayer funding. Taxpayer funding is used much more wisely housing them with the YWCA versus them going to hospitals and the police. They cost on average $140,000 a year when they don't have that housing and they're cycling through all the support systems. So the outcomes that Shelter House has shared at Iowa housing conferences are that emergency room visits declined by 57%, the rate incarceration declined by 52%, and more than 83% of the people they served stayed housed for at least 1 year. So that's some pretty good impact on that community. So this is where we're at with 399 housing. I had a friend, Charlie Graff, take a picture with drone. He surprised us. I mean, we had the video. We should have shared Charlie's video. But this is where we're at pretty much right now, or a couple weeks ago with the construction. So you guys, I've had a lot of people say, ooh, there is really happening now. Because we had some people say, oh, I think they're not going forward with this. It doesn't look like there's a lot of traction. No, they've been, our contractor is Bruce Builders. They've been plotting along this whole time, pretty much on schedule, other than maybe 1 or 2 weeks behind at times. But we are on schedule to have a grand opening in December 2025. Michelle and I were like, how about January? but we will be setting a date for a grand opening, and it's going to have to be early December because the holidays are late December. So lots going to happen in the next month. There's windows going in the building right now, so that's pretty exciting. So this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. This is the northeast side. So if you're coming from Clinton National Bank, that's this side. This is the west side that really everybody's going to be probably driving by on 4th. So it's a lot of brick on that side. And then this is the northwest side. We're actually going to add some umbrellas out there. We just picked out the other day. So, and that will be some just outdoor patio space. So with supportive housing, here's the pros and cons that I won't all go through, but I'm just going to get to the pros. With supportive housing, we could have a reduction in public expenses exceeding $100,000 per person that we help. And we have 24 one-bedroom unit apartments in the building, which can be, we envision there will not necessarily be well, whatever the definition of a family is. So 1 to 2 people, we're estimating 1/3 of the units will have 2 people in them. So we're estimating that we'll serve 36 people at any given time in the facility. We will continue to have permanent supportive housing scattered site. That's what we have right now. So we have this placed out in the community. We'll continue to have that, and we're planning to convert that to all families, because in a perfect world, if you have a family with a young child or maybe 2 kids, having them out in the community is going to give that family the best, I think, outcome, just kind of being out in the community. So again, public safety resources are not completely exhausted. Individuals are staying permanently housed, which is our goal, potentially employed. And this is a $6.9 million investment in our community. This was funded by National Housing Trust Fund, $4.4 million. We received another $1.5 million from Federal Home Loan Bank, along with county and city support to make it a $6.9 million project. Fully funded. We actually will start with an operational reserve of $680,000 and a replacement reserve of $20,000. So to help for those years of shortfall in the regular budget, we kind of got some cushions built in. So again, reduce the cost. Our end goal is reduce cost of individual to county and city resources, graduate people out of the cycle, change their spectrum and change it for their family members as well. People moved into their own homes, or at the very least, we're breaking the cycle of repeated use of public resources. We're creating a more efficient and accessible support system, and both, most importantly, improve the lives of the people affected, that individual and their families. And so at the facility, we're actually moving our empowerment center offices there. So all of our staff will be there. We have community space. We just started an MOU with community health clinic. We haven't signed it yet, but it's coming soon, so that they can come in and provide resources on site. We actually do sometimes partner with Mercy One's mobile medical unit to have them come out and provide resources as well. We'll have showers there. We will have computers so that they can seek out employment opportunities through having access to a computer. What am I forgetting? Laundry. We're going to have laundry services there as well. So it'll be for tenants and maybe general public. So right now we're working with Pastor Keith and the library on having laundry facilities for people that are experiencing hardship to be able to wash their clothes. And this is a thing I do hear a lot of, like, they just need to get a job. Well, the thing is like, it's really hard to find a job when you're not showered, when you don't have an address to put on your application, that you may or may not have a place for people to get a hold of you. We're also going to, we have a cafe in the community space, so we have a little kitchen in there that we're hoping to have a coffee house, and then we're hoping to connect people to positive employment experience. So if they could be building up their experience in our kitchen or in the cafe, or maybe they're gonna work within our maintenance over at the larger YWCA facility, so they can start to build up a positive work experience so that they can go out into the community and find a other job, permanent job out in the community. So any questions at Michelle? I told Michelle, like, listen to all the things I forgot to tell them and then come up and then tell them all the things. So do you have any questions or you want to add anything, Michelle?
Thank you, Shannon. You did a really good job covering everything, I think. Yeah, we're just super excited. The only known cure or solution to homelessness is housing, and this really is a $6.9 million investment in housing and hope for so many folks. So yes, in addition to the 24 units of housing for folks who are experiencing chronic homelessness. We'll also have, it will serve as kind of a hub for outreach also, for folks coming in that do need access to those outreach services, showers, laundry, a cooling and warming space in extreme temperatures, and really just making that connection with us so that we can get them, get an intake done, get them on that coordinated entry list, and hopefully eventually get them access to the housing programs that we have. Let's see. Just again, the challenge of earning less than the median area income. Many individuals and families earn less than the area median income that we talked about, meaning their wages are insufficient to cover their rent for standard housing in the community. In Clinton and similar communities, rates for rents, even modest apartments, can exceed 30 to 50% of a household's income for those earning low wages. And I think that's why we're seeing such an influx of people that needed help with homelessness prevention. Just were like falling behind in their rent payments, everything. And this creates significant barriers, difficulty finding rental units. A lot of landlords may prefer tenants with higher income and stable employment or strong credit histories. So what happens is someone who can't meet those requirements, high rent burden when rent consumes a disproportionate amount of income. How can a family pay for food and healthcare and transportation and all those other essentials? The risk of eviction, even a short-term crisis like a medical emergency or temporary unemployment, can lead to losing your home. Who wouldn't feel trapped in that type of situation? Limited access to quality housing. Often affordable units may be scarce, in poor condition, or located far from jobs and services. How can someone thrive if they can't access the resources that they need? Without intervention, these barriers trap people in unstable housing, and that leads to doubling up with friends or family or shelters or in the streets, making it nearly impossible to achieve that stability, maintain employment, or address health concerns. Affordable housing is not just a roof, it's a foundation for stability and opportunity. And when housing costs are reasonable and predictable, individuals and families can focus on their health and education, and just taking care of their families. At the heart of this project, as Shannon talked about, is the Housing First model, which prioritizes immediate access to safe, stable housing without preconditions. Housing First recognizes that a home is the foundation of all other success. But having a home is only the first step for people experiencing chronic homelessness. Ongoing intensive case management is critical. Our case managers will work with each resident individually, addressing the complex barriers that make housing stability challenging for them. And as Shannon said, that means connecting residents to mental health and substance abuse treatment, helping them navigate benefits like food assistance and healthcare systems, supporting education and workforce development goals, providing emotional support and advocacy, and creating personalized housing stability plans. This is really important because people do need a person. They need consistent guidance, support, and accountability. Folks in our community that have experienced homelessness themselves, so that they can help kind of guide and govern policies and procedures that we want to put into place. If you yourself or you know anybody that has experienced homelessness, please send them our way. We would love to have a board made up of a lot of folks for this purpose. Think of anything else. The coffee shop idea is like, I think when I first interviewed with Shannon at the Y, we were both kind of had this idea, like, wouldn't this be great if we could also have this social enterprise where we could give people job opportunities and learn skills and then transition kind of into the workforce. So that's kind of an added bonus that we're super excited about, that hopefully will come to fruition maybe a year or so after we get all the nuts and bolts of everything figured out. Any questions you guys have?
Two quick questions. Are the units furnished? And the second question, are you currently taking a list of potential applicants?
Yes, the units will be furnished. They will each have a bed, a nightstand, couch, coffee table. There is a little kitchen guess like an island peninsula that we'll have chairs at. So the basics, we'll be looking for donations of things like bedding and, you know, all the pots and pans and, you know, all the little things that you need to get started. But yes, they will be furnished. We currently have on our coordinated entry list, plenty of folks that would be qualified for this program. Unfortunately, our list is at times 120 to 160 people, and it's not really a wait list because we don't have enough housing to support all of them, unfortunately. But we will be able to make a significant impact for those that have experienced chronic homelessness, that are more than likely on the streets right now, the people that you're seeing on the streets, that will be able to transition right into housing, which is just quite a feat in itself. Yes.
From your list, how do you decide if the
So, how do we prioritize who gets served?
Sure. So when they call our hotline to do an assessment, our intake specialist asks them a series of questions, which more or less measures the barriers they have to housing. Our region pulls when we have a opening in a housing program, we have to pull from the top of that list. So whatever name is at the top of that list, we then pull their name for housing, make contact with them, see if they're still experiencing homelessness, check their eligibility, and then move forward with housing for them. So that assessment kind of basically puts people in different categories for homelessness. Like Shannon was saying, rapid rehousing, those folks might score a little bit lower. They don't need, 3 years or 5 years of support. They need to quickly get into a place. More than likely, they've been working and maybe just recently fall behind on a bill or an employment. And then, there's folks that call that need, that are currently housed, but are at risk of losing homelessness, and need help just catching up with the rent and things. So it is an assessment that's based on how many barriers they have.
Will you have procedures or protocols as far as if there, because I know we had people say that for C1, sometimes when it's cold, things like that. Is there going to be procedures as far as with sex offenders, with, anything, any reason why they stay at
I think due to the location of where we are, we will not be able to house any sex offenders because of the proximity to daycares and schools. So that would be an example. Other than that, I can't really think of anything in particular that would be a barrier. So,
Like, we'll do a background check, not because it's something that would stop them from getting housing, but just so that we know. And then again, they wouldn't qualify to live that close to our YWCA Children's Center. So for that reason, we wouldn't want to place the person, then find out, and then they'd have to move, Yeah.
I was going to ask about kind of what Julie's saying is, so how are the people living there protected? Somebody be monitoring cameras because you're having to go in them and they're right when bad things happen. I mean, I'm just saying, what's like protective measures for them?
we will have cameras there, just like really any other apartment building. They usually do have cameras, apartment buildings of that size. We'll also have, our case managers on site, Monday through Friday during the day. I mean, our offices will all be on the first floor of that building, so we'll be able to have eyes on the building as well, and really just building relationships with people and that sort of thing. We are trying to treat this as any other apartment complex. We want it to be a very dignified living experience for people. We're trying to avoid having a security guard or, that feeling of like this, we'll figure it out as we go along. But one of the reasons we named it 399 housing is we don't want it to stand out or look like it's something different, because it really is. It's just housing for people, just like any other apartment building, just folks that need a little bit of extra help, and that's what we're there to do, is provide them that support.
And it is like a fob system, and then we can turn off the fob to their door, so they have to visit with one of their case managers. They have like approved guests, like they have to ask, so it is a little bit different in that regard because they shouldn't have overnight guests unless we know who it is, some of those things, but
And those are things that are already in place in our scattered site housing too. I think the reason, I'll just share the reason most folks in our program end up losing their housing is because they're allowing other people to live with them. And if you think about it, if you're experiencing homelessness and you're on the street, you have your own, your community consists of your other friends who are experiencing homelessness. So once you're housed, it is really difficult to then have your friends still be out on the street, especially in extreme temperatures. They want to help. Unfortunately, that often jeopardizes their housing. So that's a rule that we have. The overnight guest is, keeping that in check and informing their caseworker if they're having an overnight guest. And it really is for their protection, for their just to keep them stable in their housing. Any other questions?
So, just quickly, I know we're going over on time, but we wanted to do a quick announcement about the upcoming Women of Achievement Awards. So Sarah is going to give us a quick. I can be quick, I promise. Okay, so we've been doing the Women of Achievement Awards since 1973. We've honored between 350 and 400 women probably in that time. There are some women of achievement in this room. So we are planning that it's our 53rd annual this year. And that is going to be taking place on March 26th, 2026. That will be here. This wall will be down. We usually have between 150 and 200 guests any given year, just sort of depends on who some of the honorees are. But you can get those, when we open up tickets, we'll send out things. You can get those tickets online. We do have, if you go to ywcaclinton.org/WOA, you can learn more about the Women of Achievement Awards. And we do have, do we have this slide? Do you want me to?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you want me to forward the slide?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that works. So basically, the Women of Achievement Awards is our chance or opportunity as YWCA Clinton and the community to honor women in our community and businesses in our community who have gone above and beyond for Clinton and Clinton County and beyond, of course. People work all over the place. We're so close to Fulton. We have a lot of Women of Achievement who are from Fulton too. So, and Morrison, that sort of thing. So we have several categories. The Young Woman of Achievement is high school seniors who are generally nominated by school staff. We do send out a special letter to all the school officials to let them know early on to start thinking about who those students are that might be good candidates for that honor. They do get a $500 scholarship with that honor as well. We have our Professional Woman of Achievement, County, Religious, Community. Our Business of Achievement is for any business, not the business owner or the business leader in particular, but the business itself that has done a lot in the community to help promote women and women in business and who have just kind of gone above and beyond for professional women. And our Unsung Hero or YWCA honoree. If somebody is a board member at the Y, they can't be nominated for any category except for that category. Same goes for staff. So we are going to be opening those nominations January 1st. It will run a couple of weeks. There are a lot of things on your tables that are about the Women of Achievement Awards. So you can stay up to date on that. We have a list of past Women of Achievement. We have our sponsorship form there if your business is interested in sponsoring. So start thinking. You can, if you go to the website to that Women of Achievement page, you can start seeing. Yeah, I'll kind of move it forward. And these are with our honorees from last year, so you might recognize some of them. So for example, Fulton Dental was actually our Business of Achievement. And these are just the past few years. Well, we do have Clinton National Bank. They were our sponsor for our Mix and Mingle. And special thank you to Carrie, who's Citizens First Bank has been our presenting sponsor annually. So just want to shout out for her. But yeah, so nominations open January 2nd, sorry. The presentation is March 26th. Please start thinking about who you might want to nominate. There is a nomination form on each table. It's last year's form, but it's an example of what kind of questions we ask. So it'll change up, it might change up a tiny little bit this year. There is a slightly different form for young women and for unsung in business, but all the other categories should be the same. So yeah, and if you want to sponsor, just let me know. But yeah.
I know we're way over in time, but we want to invite every one of you to come out on Wednesday at noon at the YW and join us on the Healthiest State Walk, where we'll be walking through downtown Clinton as a part of the Healthiest State. There are also free day passes on your tables to come in and try the YWCA, because we didn't even talk about health and wellness at all. So we'd love for you to come in and try us out. And I won't go through all the other things because we're on time. So thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you for all the work that you do in our community. It's so much needed. And I always say that, we have people that'll say like, oh, we can solve these issues by doing this and this and this. And I'm like, if you think there's an issue with like something in town like homelessness, there are people that are working every day as hard as they can to solve that issue. So think about how bad it would be. If you think the issue is bad, think about how bad it would be if we did not have those people working all day on it. So thank you guys again. I want to thank Shannon for greeting and Joe Brown for doing invocation. Oh, we have a book. And I'll also thank Brenda and Carrie for doing the stuff with Oaxaca, and Andy Ferguson for fellowship. We have our speakers sign a book every week for the Clinton Children's Library. This one is called Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. So, and with that, unite for good. Is last week's book here?
I got it.
Okay.
I already got it. And then we got a new banner to hang here, and then a Norland thing that we need to put up next time. So yeah, go.
Thank you guys for coming. Sorry we didn't get to talk to you. Oh, next time.